And greetings, everyone. Greetings to our queens and also to our kings. Happy Sunday, everybody. And welcome back to the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform, where we seem to have a lot of kings as well, even though the platform is called Always a Queen. Welcome back to another vodcast. I'm getting into the lingo. It's a video podcast, people. And the influencers say that it's a vodcast. So you are here listening to us this afternoon, and we're here to bring you part two of a discussion that we had 2 weeks ago, which was entitled 40 Fine and Free. And I brought the ladies back today because people were clamoring, literally clamoring for a part two to this discussion. I am going to give the ladies an opportunity to introduce themselves. They are not strangers to the platform, of course, but we want them to be able to greet the listeners and the followers wherever you are, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on YouTube. And then we're going to jump right into this discussion. All right, let's start with Queen Semester.
Pleasant good evening, everybody, to all those who are watching via whatever medium. My name is Samista Ellis, but better known as Misty, and I am elated to be here for the second time to bring you part two. Looking forward to a fruitful, fabulous discussion today.
Okay, and then Queen Serene.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon if your time zone is someplace else. My name is Serene Prince. I am so happy to be here again. I am wearing this only because I just came from an event. I typically will not wear my logo on screen for podcasts. So just clarifying that. And I'm a psychotherapist and a descendant of Antigua and Barbuda. And presently I am from New York, and I'm live from New York City.
All right. And then Queen Zara. You know you're the one the people who logged into here. So just go ahead and
Me. Good night, everyone. And I just want to say, blessings go up because Tammy as well, Hurricane Tammy wants us to have this conversation. APOA work on clean, light on, Wi-Fi on. I'm home with iNet. That's a free plug. Get in touch with Always a Queen Metamorphosis for a real plug. APOA if you're listening. But good night, everyone. I'm looking forward to continuing this. Me and Sasha. This is Sasha with me tonight.
Hi, Sasha. I am literally dying. Let's just take it over to Queen Aisha.
Oh my God, please don't literally die. Let's make that a figurative dying, okay? Hello, everyone. I am Aisha. I am a midwife here in Mississippi. I was born and raised in Antigua, so my Always a Queenness started from that first breath in that particular part of the world. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. I actually missed y'all, I legit missed.
Aww.
So I'm looking forward to our discussion and connection tonight, y'all.
Fantastic. I know, no, guys, listen, I'm not literally dying. I take that back. As Aisha said, I'm figuratively dying. All right, Queen Corin, greet the people.
Hi, good night, everyone. I am so delighted to be back with this group. I really love you guys. I am based in Antigua. I am a counselor and an author and also an EAP professional. And it gives me great delight to be having this conversation tonight. I can't think of any better way to spend my Sunday evening. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Queens, and I appreciate you all for being here. I love to make sure that I take time to thank people for their time. We often take people's time for granted. and people could be doing a lot of other things with their time. I feel like time is probably the most valuable gift you can give somebody. So I appreciate you so very much for taking the time to be here. And I know that our followers are also very appreciated. Let me take a moment to greet the queens who are already in the chat section. Queens, I see you. Hi, Saran. Hi, Natasha. Hi, Sunshine. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And you know what you need to do? You need to be sharing this live so that anybody who didn't get a notification that we're already live, that they can hop on to be a part of this conversation. So this is a part two of Fortifying and Free, which means that we're going to kind of pick up where we left off the last time we were on here, talking about queens who are beyond the age of 40. Some of us are still in our 40s. Some of us are already in our 50s. And so we are talking about how our lives have shifted in various areas in this second half of our lives, so to speak. And I want us to start off today's discussion talking about the professional area of our lives. And I specifically want us to start here because the last time Corin had to dip out before we got to this. And I am very, very excited to hear Corin's story because I know Corin personally, and I know that her story is a story that women need to hear, about how she stepped out of a job that she had been in for a very long time. And when I say a long time, I mean a long time. Like when I was a baby therapist, many moons ago, and doing internships for my master's program, Corin was actually one of my mentors back in the day. That's how long she has been doing this. And then she transitioned into becoming her own boss. And I feel like I am so inspired by that journey. And so I really want us to start off talking about that so that she can have an opportunity to share a little bit of what that looked like for her. And then we can just kind of take it from there, about how our professional lives have shifted in this second half, how the meaning of what you do it's different now as compared to when you were younger, why it's significant that you be doing what you love. How does living a purpose-driven life tie in to your professional life? That's the direction I want us to go. But I want to start off with Corin. So let me give Corin an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about her story.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, everybody, I've worked in social services for quite a while at the welfare, what we used to call the welfare division back then, the Department of Child and Family Services, Family and Social Services. And then I transitioned to what was then the Mountain Johns Medical Center to start the first ever social services unit. And I was there and I told myself, you know what, I'm going to give it 10 years. When the 10 years hit, I was in my late 40s. I was like 2019. And everybody, barring except maybe two persons, said to me, are you sure you want to leave a secure job with Social Security, a job you've been in for, at that time, it was 11 years. There's stability. There's no laying off at the hospital because it's an essential services. In your 40s to go and start out on your own, that's quite a risk. And everybody was so afraid for me. But I felt like I needed something that was giving me a sense of freedom because I'm a caregiver to two elderly persons. And also, what a lot of the persons in this group will tell you, when you're working with persons who've been sexually assaulted, with trauma, with people with mental illness, and a lot of these sort of things, it takes a toll on you. And if you're an empath like I am, you don't just sit with somebody and hear about trauma or child sexual assault and then you go home and you just shrug it off. it stays with you, and you partially give some of your piece and a little bit of yourself to the person, and so you leave every session burdened. Unless you have a good debriefing session and a good therapist for yourself, you can become burnt out and overwhelmed. I personally know that I took on too much, and because I had difficulty saying no, I was getting to the point where I felt like I had to take a break from that. And while financially I knew it would be a burden, I felt like I had to do something on my own. And so I left. I had a lovely goodbye party, and then then the fear sets in. Okay, I have to rent a space. I have to bang up a sign, get new clients. It was a challenge initially. Now I feel like it's one of the best decisions I ever made. I have a lot more control over my time. I have a lot more control over who I see. I can say yes to a particular type of client, or I can say no. I'll be happy to refer you. And that brings a certain level of peace. It brings a certain level of happiness, because I feel like I'm not doing something because I have to, but because I want to. And that's one of the things that creates happiness, having some control over your life. So, yes, it was a big decision. For now, it works out pretty well, especially during COVID. It was a bit of a challenge because you figure, okay, work is not going to come because they're COVID. So it has been a rocky road. I can't say it's been perfect, but I'm extremely happy with my decision. And it's helping me to have my priorities: family time first, and then work after. So I'm really, really grateful for the support of everybody. It's given me time to write, time to reflect, and it's been beautiful.
All right.
Wow.
Thank you. Yes.
Lovely. Yes.
A round of applause is in order
Yes,
for that.
indeed.
Yes, I love that. I particularly love the fact that you persevered, even though there were so many voices around you saying, this is not a good idea. Are you sure you want to do this? How do you leave something that is stable and secure to go to something that you are unsure about? And all of the negativity that we often would receive, people's fears basically being projected onto us as if we don't have enough fears of our own. I'm happy for how you just pushed through that. That is fantastic. I love it. I think what most fascinates me, and before I say that, I want to say that Corinne is not the only entrepreneur on the panel tonight. Okay. Serene runs her own business. Aisha runs her own business. Zara runs a business. She's a teacher, and I know everybody knows she's a teacher, but she's also an entrepreneur. She has a photography business. And just now, Samantha Semester gonna be running a business too. I'm gonna be the only one.
I already am actually.
See,
I just started.
she's running a business. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. I need to run a business, but that's a topic for another day. But and so I want to say that I am surrounded right now by queens who understand what it is to do what you love. I want to talk about that because that jumped out at me while Corin was speaking. The importance of doing what you love. I feel like for me personally, doing what I love became so much more important after I turned 40. Like, second half of my life, I am absolutely not prepared to do anything that I do not enjoy on a daily basis for work. I'm just not. I need to be in a position to pay my bills and take care of myself, and also feel like I'm fulfilling some type of purpose and doing the things that I'm passionate about. Like, I'm serious about that. The days of doing a job just so that you can pay bills are gone. And I was at one point, I was that person. I just wanted a job. I just wanted a job. Now I'm like, yeah, I want a job, but also, can it be a job that I actually want to get up and go to in the morning? That is such a big deal for me. That's one of the things that shifted for me in a big way. And so I'd love to hear about that from you. And I feel like that is how so all of you ended up running your own business, because at some point you weren't running a business. and now you're all running businesses. That suggests to me that some shift took place. And I want to hear about that. So, who would like to begin? Let's start with Semester, since you're right next to me on the screen. Let's go with you.
I realize that's what moves you to call me first, but
Going
that's
in that
okay. No,
order.
no problem. I've seen this quote many times that says, "If there is no joy, do not tarry." So if you're not feeling any joy, don't linger around, don't stay around. But I'd like to add, if there is no peace, if there is no progress, if you're always feeling stressed, it's time to go or to change where you're at. And coincidentally, I must say that in my position now as deputy principal at a secondary school, I tend to have many conversations with teachers who are no longer happy where they are. And as recent as last week, I know I would have spoken to somebody and she came to realize that the job is literally making her sick. She, and a lot of the times we don't realize it until we talk it out with somebody, and then you realize, hey, I notice now this is happening because. And I said to her, I said, but um, and she's an absolutely amazing teacher. I must say that. And I said, but you like coming here. That's what I thought. And then she said, you know what? It doesn't bring me any joy anymore. I said, well, how long have you felt like that? She says, it's been a while. I said, well, then you really need to do some deep thinking and realize that you don't just stick around here just because it pays the bills. And that big word, fear. We don't do things because we're afraid of not being able to pay our bills, not being able to take care of our families. But then the thing is, if you're staying somewhere where you are losing yourself every day, losing your joy, losing your peace, it actually starts to affect you on a physical level. What really is the point? You're slowly dying anyway, doing what you no longer love. So I know for me, at least maybe 10 years ago, so way before I was 40, I started feeling the need to shift. I felt like I had more to offer than simply just teaching. So I started making the moves. You do little courses, qualify yourself a little more, and then my turn finally came, I must say, in the last 3 years that I was able to get promoted to being a deputy principal as opposed to simply a teacher. And it's not that this position does not come with its challenges and times when you think that, hey, am I really making the right decision? But I'm absolutely happy going to work every day. I don't dread Mondays. Every day is like Friday for me. Basically, I really enjoy what I do. So I think that is very important. It's a very important component for anything that you are doing, not just work wise, but any other thing. A lot of the times we just follow the crowd doing things that we believe we enjoy when deep down inside we really don't enjoy them. But because people think that we should be enjoying them, that we just continue. The business aspect, I'm not in a conventional business as most people would think, but I am a meditation facilitator. And the last time, 2 weeks ago, when we spoke, I was on the cusp of being a certified yoga teacher. I'm done with that, finished, qualified, and already offering my classes. So that's another addition to what I would have already been doing in terms of meditation, Reiki, that kind of thing. So, yeah, and I'm telling you, when I've had a few stints working at a hotel, giving a class there, and when I'm on the way driving there, I feel so good, so refreshed, so enthusiastic about sharing with others. And then during the class, and then when I'm finished, I'm thinking, man, I could just do this every day, every hour, just have somewhere to go. And you feel so much at peace. You don't feel as though you are, well, you are. in a sense, controlled kind of like by a clock because you have a schedule for a class time. But I mean, if it is that I'm unable to do it, I can say, I can't do it today. But then when you're locked into a job where you're working for somebody else, it's not as easy to say, well, I'm not coming in today because I just want a personal day, which and you should be able to feel that freedom anywhere you're at. And a lot of us, we have those facilities, but we don't necessarily use them because you don't want to be labeled as lazy, not wanting to work. But sometimes you may be in a space where it's not that you are truly unhappy, but you may just need to take yourself away from where you are just for a little bit to get yourself together and then come back. So, joy is so important, peace is so important, and not feeling like what you're doing is a burden in any way is important when you're working. So, that's
Mhm.
my
I
share
love
there.
it. I love it. I love the fact that you love what you do so much that you're happy even before you get there. You're
Yes.
driving on your way and you're not there yet and you're already ecstatic. It's like, I'm
I
going to work. This is fantastic. Who does that? Let me tell you who. People who love what they do. That's who. And that Sunday, that Sunday blues is a real thing, with people where people get depressed on a Sunday. It's a real thing. Um, because Monday is coming and they don't want to go to work. They don't want to go back. That's a real thing. And so I'm happy to hear that you don't experience that anymore. Like Sunday's just another day. That's awesome. I love it. All right. Let's go over to Serene. Serene also has an interesting story for how she got out of one thing and into another. Let's hear it.
So, I'm not going to go all the way deep into it. That's a whole nother, right? But similarly to Quarren, I have worked many years in the social service field. So I have over 20 years experience. I worked in child welfare. I was a foster care caseworker. I used to recertify foster care homes. I used to train foster parents. I worked many years in a hospital, a children's hospital, which I loved the death and dying plans and doing palliative and hospice care. I worked a lot with parents. I was a program director. And in 2019, I had decided, no, 2018, I I started to feel like I wanted to make a shift. And that shift came because I was transitioning emotionally and mentally out of a storm. And then in between there, my stepmother died. And her and I would have a lot of, little bit of conversations. She would encourage me to get my PhD. Sorry, I ain't doing that. But I was like, that's too much reading. I don't want to fight about my dissertation, all of that. However, so it was just something that was just stirring up inside of me. And it's no secret I don't have any children. And I would like read and I would see people who felt stuck or felt like their life was almost like an ending to it. And I was like, but the love, the maternal love that I have inside of me, it's so huge that why should I like suppress it or discount it or not validate it and behave as though or think as though it doesn't have a place in the world. And so I said, well, I can pour that back into me. And then when I started to do that, the vision began to become more brighter. It became more visible to me. And so I said, well, you know what? Let me work for a mental health counseling company. And I did that. And it just so happened, I was a program director at the time. The mental health company was on the other floor above me. So I did that per diem and I started to like really fine tune my skills because of course I had a lot of, not of course, but for me, I had a lot of doubt. Like I doubted, could I actually do this? Who do I think I am? Why do I think that I can go and do this thing? So I went and worked there. It was not the best place, but I gained a lot of experience because of, I think, just inherently who I am. So I made sure that I learned, that I connected with people who I can learn from. And so I did that. And then fast forward, I was like, okay, I want to do this, but I'm not going to quit my job. So the end of 2019, I created Orchard Blue Solutions. That's why this is Orchard Blue Solutions, but the name changed. So I was like, I ain't using my coin. So I asked my mother's church if I could rent space from them because it's an Anglican church. So a lot of times they would have their own building. And so I rented there and I saw like two clients. And I still, do I still have it here? So I'm just going to show people this because I keep it. These $2 bills came from the first client that I had, right? I don't know what the other coin is. And the other $2 coin is somewhere here, came from the first Antiguan client that I had. It's somewhere on my desk. Ironically, completely different years. But anyway, so as you know Dr. Ivy, Tasha Fletcher. I had connected with my therapist at, she was no longer my therapist, but she used to be my therapist when I was in grad school. And I said, you know what? I need a place to rent. So she said, oh, Dr. Ivy, da 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 da. So I connected with her and they were like, you're going to quit your job this year. I was like, I have health insurance. I got benefits. I no, I'm not. I'm just going to do this thing and keep my day job. Well, the pandemic happened. So I was in two different offices at the time, and I had my full time, my job. We were fully remote, and the practice had just burst at the seams. Dr. J, in New York, they were struggling and they were asking for help. So I had probably over 25 clients, about 30. I had 30 clients, and I was overseeing several social workers, an entire program of children with chronic medical conditions who were, many of them and their parents were getting COVID. So you can only imagine. But I felt so good when I did it. It was just like a light that just kept shining inside of me, although I was pulling my hair out managing the two. And the one that filled me up most was the one that I had to stick with, and the one that wasn't, I had to let it go. And so in 2020, I told them, I said, you know what? I'm resigning. I mean, they knew I had my own thing, but I don't think they knew I was going to quit the day job. And so in between that, I got informed. I made sure I got the information. Tasha Fletcher, she gave me a coaching session because I was very anxious and overwhelmed. I had a goal about how much money I was going to save. My sister, who is a financial guru, she was like, you're going to save twice that amount. I was like, that's impossible. I cannot say that twice. She was like, yes, you are. And I did. I saved twice the amount of the goal that I initially set for myself because it was freeing, because it just felt so good for myself. And so, July 2020, I went full time with my practice, and it has grown. And then I opened up a company in Antigua and Barbuda. Similarly, the following 2 years later, or yeah, about 2 years later. And so that's why I share with you that it was just something else that I got $2 bills and I keep it. I'm like, I'm not spending it. I'm not depositing it. And the coin is somewhere on my desk. And I said, it's affirming for me. And so going back to not being a parent, I had turned that. And so today you see me wearing this because when the pandemic happened, I said, well, Lord, how am I going to go out to the office, see these children? My specialty is children and teens, because I would get on the floor with them. And I had this vision that I'm going to, be in schools and all of this. And so I had bought this scrubs. And I was like, oh, it's cute, band collar, keep it cute. And so today I did a tapping session, a meditation session. So I know I'm going to wrap it up. But I say all that to say that in between all of that, and I say because, yes, I'm proud. I became a New York State contractor recently in a couple of weeks. I became a New York State contractor for the Department of Education. And that I could have never saw myself doing something like that. And trust me, it took since the pandemic, I've been on this journey, but I always connected with people that knew more than I did. That was really important to me. People that were smart and whom could balance it off. And I poured back into them as well, but that was really important to me. And so I say all of that to say just because you don't have something or because your life doesn't look a particular way, that does not mean you cannot persevere or free yourself in any way that you find that fits you. But if it's entrepreneur or doing your own business, do it scared, but do it informed and do it with love and love for yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Serene. Thank you. And congratulations. Congratulations. That's a big deal. That's a big, big deal.
Yes.
Have you told Felicia about this?
I,
What's
you know, I meant to, I was going to text her, but then a client called me because I texted her 2 days ago. And I meant to tell her that it
what?
finally came through. They finally gave
We
me the.
gotta celebrate. We gotta celebrate. We gotta celebrate. But I want to jump in quick. Before we go to Aisha, I want to jump in quickly and say two things. I
Mhm.
want to say that that one of the things that happens when it is time for you to transition out of one thing into another. And I speak from my own personal experience as well as the experiences of many other women that I have spoken to. Just as Semester was describing the experience of the teacher that she spoke to, who is still there, showing up every day and is an excellent teacher, doing a fantastic job, but does not want to be there. I call that having the grace lifted off of what you are doing. That's how I refer to it, because I believe that the work that we do working with people requires a certain type of grace. It may look different if you are in the classroom versus if you are in an office providing therapy or other types of clinical services, or if you're working with birthing women, as Aisha does. Whatever it is, I believe there is a certain grace that is required to perform these tasks. You are gifted with the ability to do the task and with the grace that is required to perform it, even through challenging moments. And I think when it's time for you to transition out of whatever that thing is, that the grace just gets lifted off. And even though you may still be gifted to do that thing, you no longer have the grace. The grace looks like the tolerance, the grit, the patience, the passion, all of the things that help you to not just show up, but to show up feeling happy to be there. That goes away. That's the grace. And when that happens to you, that is a loud, loud, loud sign. That's a loud sign from the universe, from God, from whatever higher power you believe in, that a transition is about to occur. And I think you have a choice to either obey or disobey at that point. But then that brings us to the transition. And this is a second point that I would like to make. Also, speaking from my own personal experience, those transitions are painful and chaotic. I feel like the most chaotic, most challenging, most painful, wildest periods of my life were those periods in which I was transitioning from one version of myself to another. The in between, the transition from one version of you to the next version, oh, child, it's like, listen. What is happening to my life? But that is what transitions are like. It's like somebody picks up the globe and you are inside the globe and somebody just picks up the globe and starts shaking it. And you're like, no. But that's what it literally feels like for me. It's like, can you stop with the shaking? But no, the shaking doesn't stop until whatever needs to fall away falls away, and whatever needs to come together comes together. And then that new version of you shows up. It's so worth the shaking. The shaking is painful. Nobody likes it, but it's so worth it in the end. And so that is what I wanted to stick in. Just in case there's anybody listening to us who may be in a transition right now and you feel like, what is happening to my life? This is the end. I am not going to survive this. What chaos is this? And as Antiguans would say, what could have caused this? Why is everything going wild right now? Sis, perhaps you are in transition. Perhaps it just looks like everything is falling apart. Perhaps the globe is being shaken. Perhaps things are not falling apart. Maybe they're actually falling together for you, and you just need to ride it out. And don't jump off because you feel like you can't handle it. That pain births purpose. And I am not telling you what anybody taught me or what I read in a book. I'm telling you what I learned for myself in my own life and what all of these queens are sitting here telling you today. Don't jump off because you feel like it's too much. Purpose is on the other side of that. It is, I promise you. So, somebody might be listening to us today and you logged on just to get that message. Take the message. Take the message. Okay. I said what I needed to say. Let me turn the mic over to Aisha. Aisha, let's hear your story.
Before I share my story, I just want to say that hearing you talk about that concept of the shakeup, it makes me think of Oya in the Yoruba spiritual tradition, because that spiritual force is considered the aspect of God that brings the winds of change. So when that big upset comes in and it's like, oh my goodness, everything is just tumultuous from every side, in that spiritual tradition, we recognize that that essence of Oya is present and dominant, and is there primarily to usher in change that is needed, right? So that's where my mind went when you were sharing, Therese. Okay, so my big change came at 40. In terms of it being executed, it was executed at 40. It didn't begin at 40. I know, Therese, you said that you felt like it was until you got to the 40 that it was like, yeah, I got to do what I love. I was very much aware that I was not doing what I loved a long time before 40 hit. And like I told you all the last time, I'm like, so I'm a little hard headed. So when my shakeup came, it had to shake off, and shake up it did. Um, so in 2016, right, man? We got married in 2016? I forget. 2016 or 2015. One of them 2 years we got married, right? So hubby and I met and got married. He said we got married in another lifetime. Okay, that's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like, honestly. Um, so we got married. I was in my late 30s. At the point that we got married, I was really at the point where something had to give. I think it was, I forget who it was, Serene. Somebody was saying, oh, it was Misty. Misty was saying, if you don't address that lack of joy and lack of peace, and the messages that your spirit gives you, that this is not it, sis, you are going to start to feel the physical effects of that. Well, like I said, I'm hard-headed, and I was there. I was very much there. The we all have talked about the fear aspect, right? I think what is absolutely ideal and beautiful is when we can do it scared before the consequences of not doing it set in. And this is me speaking from experience, because I waited until well after the consequences of not doing it set in, and I had no other choice but to do it scared or die. And I might seem extra, but I'm really not exaggerating with the awe, the consequence. So a big part of the change that I didn't see coming was getting married, right? Prior to that, the physical consequences of me not listening to my spirit resulted in me having major abdominal surgery, which is a whole other discussion. You have time to do a show on medical negligence and all that? If so, call me. We can do a show together, hon. It's going to be very
Next
interesting.
time.
But I had major abdominal surgery. I had to recover from major abdominal surgery. I had to deal with the implications of what that particular surgery that I didn't actually consent to meant, for my future life. And so I was dealing with a lot of grief that I didn't recognize. I was dealing with a lot of confusion. When I say confusion, confusion as in, okay, I'm clearly in the midst of a shakeup and I don't get why. Why is this happening to me like this? Um, and I would have to say that one aspect that I later recognized as, oh Lord, this is a lifeline. My guardian angels, aka ancestors, are like, look, just hold on to this as a lifeline, see, before you do something drastic. We got you. And that was me meeting my husband. We met at the time we were friends, and relatively quickly we decided that we would go ahead and get married. Go ahead and get married in our case meant one of us has to move, because this man is based in the US, I'm based in Antigua. And to be perfectly honest, I was like, me nah move. As Serpent would say, me nah move. That was my position. Um, but you see that I'm speaking to you from Mississippi, right? So clearly that didn't last too long. Anyway, long story short, I ended up moving here, and so that meant I had to leave where career was concerned. I had to leave what I was doing. And that was not an issue for me at all. For me, that felt like, oh, thank you, y'all gave me an out, because I was too punkish to take the out myself or to create the out myself. I wanted to leave, desperately wanted to leave, but did not feel like I knew how to. When I say knew how to, I mean knew how to in a way that I could still sustain myself. Um, I was also very much in a place of, well, what the hell am I going to do now? You know, my backstory to midwifery started 10 years before that, because I was living in Bermuda at one point, and that's when I got into birth work. I got into birth work very unexpectedly. And it's not because that passion was not there from jump, because I don't know if I'm going to date myself. Well, y'all already know I'm over 40, so I don't have to say I'm dating myself. TLC used to have a show called The Baby Story back in the day. I don't know if y'all remember it. I used to binge watch that show like religiously. And I'm in school age, I'm not an adult. I used to binge watch Baby Story. And my mother recognized, I might have told you all the story before. If you heard it before, tell me so I don't, waste yours or the audience. It's time saying it again. But my mother recognized that I had an interest in maternity care, right? And so she said, okay, you probably just want to be an obstetrician or a gynecologist. So go talk to my gynecologist. She can let you know how you do this whole thing. Because clearly my daughter wants to be a doctor. So she was probably thinking, finally a doctor in the family. So she sets up this meeting for me to talk with Dr. Kelsick, peace be upon her spirit. And she was so gracious. She explained, she took the time to really talk with me. don't know nothing, 13, 14-year-old. And she explained to me what OBs do and how she became an OB and the route that she had to take and all of that. And I left there feeling very, very, very certain that I did not ever want to be an obstetrician. And I definitely did not want to be a gynecologist. And because nobody else ever told me, oh, well, if that's not what you want to do, this is what you want to do, I figured, okay, well, I'll just binge watch Baby Story for the rest of my life and then go have something else as a career. And so that career was accounting. I can't even say it without choking, girl.
Listen.
That career was accounting. I did accounting for 20 odd years. I did accounting and auditing for 20 odd years. And if I'm honest, I never loved it. Never. At first, it was like a job is what you do to get a paycheck. And so I was doing it. I got a paycheck. Okay, mission accomplished. And then the longer I did it, the more I was like, I actually don't like this. And then the more I did that, I was like, I actually really despise this. And then I got to the point where I really hate this shit. Like, I can't even sugarcoat it. I hate it. But then you get to a point where you start believing the it's too late narrative. It's too late to change careers. No. You want to go and do something totally different. If you change, you have to do something like kind of in the realm of what you studied, right? And there are other things that are keeping you kind of in that stagnant space too. For me, it was a student loan. I was paying off my student loan. So, I kind of felt shackled to the life that I was living. Anyway, I started to think about birth work again several years before. It was probably a good 7 or so years before getting married. And how that came about, I was working with some women accounting, all accountants, in an open air setting. The two other people I was working with absolutely hated each other's guts. I was the group pacifier. And they both happened to have been pregnant at the same time, one with twins and one pregnant for the first time after many years. I think her son was like 16 at the time. And so we were working together one Friday and they started to nitpick at each other. And I was like, okay, here we go again. So I said something that totally changed the mood, lightened everything. Everybody was laughing. And the one that was pregnant with twins said, you know what? You should have been a midwife. You could have delivered my children, right? My babies. I was like, oh, I wanted to be a midwife when I was younger. And I had an aha moment. The light bulb went off because somewhere along the line from 13 to 30, whatever, I knew that a midwife existed, but I didn't consciously have it in my mind that, oh, this is what you wanted to do. This is the thing that you wanted to do back then. And that's when the light bulb went off. And so I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do with this now? I'm not going back to nobody's school for no 4 years to go study no whatever. So I went investigating birth work and I decided to become a doula because, the training it's not years and years of training. And I thought, yeah, I can get into that. And so I did that and I started to do doula work alongside auditing. I was doing an auditor in Bermuda. And I did that for a while and it gave the satisfaction of being in the birth space, which I recognize I'm drawn to, but there was also something missing. And by the time I did my maybe 4th or 5th client, I was like, yeah, I gotta be a midwife. Can't do this doula thing no more. And so I started to do the work of preparing for that. Preparing for that looked like finding the place that I wanted to go to, had the perfect type of program for me. It was an intensive program, wasn't super long, wasn't super drawn out. It gave the clinical experience. It gave everything that I said I wanted it to give to help me go from here to midwife in the shortest possible time. Putting things in place looked like saving up my coppers because I have to pay for it. And it also meant for the time that you're in the school, you can't work. So I had to plan how am I going to financially support myself as I make this transition, knowing that I can't generate any income during that time. Every single duck was in a row. And I said, all right, Bermuda, it's been great. I'm going to go back home to Antigua for a couple months because I haven't seen Antigua in 6 years before I go off and do this can't leave until you're done program. And I left Bermuda with all the little couples we save up for school and life for the next 2 years, and transferred my money to my little bank account, their Bank Antigua. And that was the day that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission decided they were going to move an R. Allen Stanford and freeze any account even remotely related to R. Allen Stanford. And I'm sitting down here like, but I don't know him. How my little Bank of Antigua account get tied up in that? A whole bunch of accounts related to, that had nothing to do with him, but, were at his banks were frozen until they could figure stuff out. I was like, universe, come on, talk to me. You got jokes, right? Like, WTF, exclamation mark 10 times. What on earth is going on? So I found myself back home, penniless, until this frozen money freed up. And it took a while. It was almost a year before I had access to that money again. Ready to go to the school now, applying everything. The people are ready for me to come. Can't go. Okay. So I had to figure something else out. And I went back to what was easy, what I knew. Got back into accounting, easy fit. So starting to make, I know I'm long-winded, but bear with me, I'm going to get to it in a minute. Started to make my way out of that quagmire I found myself in, only to get knocked all the way back in. Ended up being back home. Heck yeah! Saran, talk to me, girl. We need to talk.
Saran is a medical doctor in Antigua, by the way.
Yeah.
FYI, for anybody who doesn't know this.
Yeah, we need to talk. So got back into accounting, and it was like quicksand. The quicksand just hold you and pull you in, right? And so the point at which we got married and we left was several years after that. I had already put the midwifery thing out of my mind because of what went down. So when we moved, and it's very interesting, I have an elder that says, the ancestors will keep you uncomfortable in a position until you decide to listen to them and do something else. Right? They'll hold you in the space where you don't want to change, and I'm telling you to change. Well, hold on to this discomfort then until you're really ready to change. And I can see that happening in my life. The first 2+ years of marriage, I was completely invisible, is the way I like to see it. Invisible, immobile, all the things. Because the immigration process that usually takes, just a few months, man. In my case, took almost 3 years. During that time, I could not work. I couldn't even get a driver's license, right? And if anybody knows Aisha, Aisha is independent. She needs to be able to pick up and go when she's ready. She needs to be able to plan her stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I found myself for the first time in my life in a situation where I couldn't move. That was terrifying. That was stress-inducing. It was all the things. You hear him in the background. He just turned over and I can feel him looking at me like, hey, about our business, right? But it was, in that regard, it was 2 of the worst years of my life, not the marriage, honey, because I know he's looking at me. But the experience of being like that, it was horrible. It was just absolutely uncomfortable. I hated it. But I was made stagnant until I could sit long enough to be like, now you're hearing what we're saying? Haul your backside back to the school, please, and do what we told you to do 10 years ago. Which is where I found myself. I was like, well, damn it, I can't work. So I may as well go to this school. Let me figure out how to make this happen, right? And again, fear crept up. What the hell are you doing? You just get married. You can tell this man you're going somewhere to go school, clean out to Texas. Sat my husband down and said, hey, I want to do this. And instead of backlash, I got, cool, how are we going to make it work? Oh, okay. Well, I need to figure out how to pay for it first. Talk with my mother. Cool. This is how we can pay for it. Don't worry. everything fit into place, just one right after the other. Fast forward to about 7 months later, I show up at the school. Um, the interesting thing is, I'd done my application and sent it in and everything. They never opened my application. The director of the school said, I remember you from 10 years ago when you were supposed to come and you couldn't come. Your place is already waiting for you. That's how I got into midwifery school. I got into the midwifery school. I didn't know at that time that my year was going to be the last year that that school was a school. So got in just in the nick of time, did all the things I had to do, jumped through all the hoops I had to jump through, became a Texas licensed midwife, and I've been in birth work ever since. The change, the transition from that former life to the life that I live now, completely different. Completely different. And if I have a regret, the only regret I have is that I did not recognize sooner that this was what I was supposed to be doing with my life, and did not manifest it sooner. If I had to say I have a regret, because I've learned not to regret things, right? And so that was my journey. That was my journey. And one thing that I can say is, every step of the way, my journey was filled, unlike, a lot of other people's experiences. My journey was actually filled with people saying, go for it, do it, don't stop, keep it. I always had support from my husband, always had support from my mother, my best friends. Everybody was like, oh my God, yes, Aisha. I never once heard somebody say, wait, how will you do? Somebody that matters, by the way, right? Never had anybody whose opinion mattered say, don't do that, that's stupid, but you can't make no money doing it. So for me, the journey had a whole lot of lessons in it, just in and of itself. But the main lesson that I have received, just generally becoming a midwife, going ahead and launching myself out into these first Texas and now Mississippi streets as a midwife, navigating a very political arena in this new way. And most of all, sharing what I have been sent here to do with the women who trust me, to guide them through this process. The big takeaway, the big lesson I've learned is it doesn't help anyone if you show up as less than. And whenever we give our life force energy to a job, to a career, to anything that is not what we are meant to do, we're showing up as less than. Yeah. And so that for me is the big thing. 40 has brought all the best things where career is concerned. And I can't say that I'm making more money now than I was in the height of an accounting career, but I would give up every year that I spend in accounting to do this in a heartbeat.
That was beautiful.
It was.
Thank you, Aisha. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yep. I'm not going to cry on here tonight. There will be no tears.
Please don't, because I don't let people cry by themselves.
Yes, I know Aisha. If I start crying, she's going to start crying.
Tears are beautiful. Tears are good.
Serene, tears are good, but I ugly cry. I don't cry. Everything. That's how I cry.
Let's go over to Zara. But I want to say one quick thing. You see that snow globe analogy that I gave, where you're getting shaken and then you added to that and said, if you don't obey when you get an instruction to move, you actually could get pushed out against your will. Can I tell you that I dragged my feet after I knew that the grace had been lifted off of my previous profession, that it was like years that I continued to get up and keep going to work every day, and I hated it. And I still, even when I said it's time for you to go into therapy full time, Therese, but you need to go back to school and do this other degree and so on and so forth, I was still trying to go and do that and keep the other job because I was afraid. I just didn't want to let go the job. And do you know, I dragged my feet until eventually the people fired me. Eventually, I'm not going to tell that story on here, but eventually it came down to that, and I didn't leave. I was fired.
Yeah, Therese, it's so funny you're saying that because that happened to me last week, and I felt so relieved. I felt so good because, like, I got wrapped up.
That they get fired.
Yeah, imagine that. But girl, I felt so good. Like, I ended up signing up to do this thing. Was it last year? I think it was last year, or year before last. I don't even know. Year before last. And I'm not gonna lie, I aired some of my concerns. One of the major concerns being copyright, intellectual property, and the pittance. Because to me, the pay was really, really low for the things that they wanted, especially, your intellectual property. And I completed the first third of what I was supposed to do. And even getting my check for that, there was no gratification. And when I tell you, I just dragged, I was demotivated. And a bunch of things just kept happening. People dying, life, there's a bunch of things just kept happening. And then last week, I get a WhatsApp saying, Zara, we haven't heard from you, so we're going to give so-and-so to finish. Boy, the fastest my ever response. Oh, that sounds fantastic. All the best. And I felt funny for not feeling funny. I kid you not. I felt funny for feeling so relieved. And I was like, oh my gosh, this was just so good. No more WhatsApps popping up for messing with my anxiety. No more me trying to figure out, oh my goodness, I'm tired, but I need to work on this. Because I really did not enjoy it. I really, really did not enjoy it at all. You mentioned the photography earlier, and I have to say I'm getting to that point with the photography too. And I'm just keeping the faith that something else is going to pop up really good. And actually, if I tell you, with the same situation last week where I got let go, another opportunity popped up. Not going to talk about it yet. That basically is going to be paying me just about the same or a little bit more, actually a little bit more than what I was supposed to get from this. I was like, okay, universe, you're trying to give me hints. You're trying to give me hints to hold on. And listening to you guys tonight, I feel like it's me all preaching too. Seriously. I mean, seriously. I mean, no, I wasn't the teacher that semester spoke to. At least I don't think I was. Was I? Come here, me come in the office all the time and talk about kind of stuff. I don't even know if it was me or not, but I don't think it was me.
No, it wasn't you.
But I understand how that teacher is feeling. And for me right now, I believe I am in a space of transition, and that is what is keeping me going, because the pressure, the weight, the things that are falling apart, I don't see them falling into place yet, but I'm trying to have the faith that I am transitioning into some space that will be better. Because when they pray the other day, I must say, hey, you can't have me broke and brokenheartedness or something. I forgive, but prefer for be brokenhearted. I have plenty money coming, and then I'm like, Lord, if you intend for me to stay in teaching, you have to be open in some other avenues that are not going to be physically taxing on me. That's going to allow me to continue to stay. If this is where you want me to stay right now, and I kid you not, this is my prayer right now for a couple days, couple weeks. If this is the place you intend for me to stay right now, if this is the work you intend for me to do right now, helping children, helping people's children, and stuff like that, you can't have me broke in doing this, because I'm not about to do that. I can't continue to be broke and, I'm helping everybody and I can't even help my own child. You know what I mean? So I do believe that I'm in a place of transition as well. And I am looking forward to where I may end up, because me tell you, if Therese or Serene call me right now, or Aisha call me, say, says my job, I can pay X amount to Z. You call me, say yes. Plane ticket done by, yes, I am there. That is honestly how I'm feeling right now, because the I love my job, I love my career as an educator, I absolutely love it, but the system needs to evolve. We're talking more about mental health and purpose and catering for the student, but it's still talk. And again, I'm like, if this is where you want me to be, because I open my mouth a lot, I say, if this is where you want me to be, you can't have me here and broke, so something has to give. So I am currently going through my transition, and I actually am looking forward to seeing where those pieces are going to fall into place.
Can I just jump in and
Of course.
affirm you right now? I just feel moved to affirm you right
Yes,
now, sis,
please, by all
because
means.
yeah, we're not going to put all of your business out here on this platform, but I know what I know, right? And I am telling you that based on what I know, you are absolutely, without any doubt, in transition right now. Like
Yeah.
there is zero doubt in my mind. I know all the things that are happening in the background of your life right now. We don't have to say it here. I
Yeah.
know. And I am confirming for you. If you need confirmation,
Stop, you can make me cry, and then my sinus get act up, and then my face will
yeah,
start to
right.
swell, and people can think my COVID.
Yeah, right.
COVID lessons.
Listen. No, but for real, if you need further confirmation, if you need me to tell you again what you already know, you are absolutely in transition right now, sis. You're transitioning for real, for real. This version of Zara is on the way out. This is their confirmation. I know you already know this, but I figure you need
Yeah.
to hear it again. So ride out the storm, sis. Ride it out.
I'm
Ride
trying.
it
I'm trying
out.
to, girl. I'm trying to. And can I just add that for the persons tuned in, if you are where I am right now, you're not alone. And just listening to Raz, Aisha, Samantha, Serene, and Corin's story, I know I feel encouraged. I hope you feel encouraged too. If you are exactly where I am and just everything seems to be going wrong, like everything around you seems to be going wrong, or you feel you're moving in like a sort of a place of isolation, people that you thought had your back didn't, it's like a season of revelations too, because I mean, it sounds cliche, but the truth is everybody can't go with you where you're going. And I feel like at my age at my age, I like to tell my friends that I'm pushing 50, and then they cuss me because I'm usually the youngest among them. But I feel like at my age, I just want to be surrounded by real. I want to be surrounded by prosperity, happiness, and peace. So sometimes it's painful because of the nostalgia of whatever familial ties. It can be painful. I can't even begin to tell y'all how much crying I've done over the past 2 years, 3 years. And it's always great to be redirected in a path where your tribe finds you and they can encourage you. And just like Aisha said, when she decided that, hey, this is what I want to do, no one in her inner circle asked her if she was crazy. Everybody's like, okay, great, what's up? I remember I had the pleasure of actually visiting Aisha in her last year, and it was just so amazing watching her work. It was great hearing what her instructor and colleagues were saying about her. I was like, yeah, that's my girl. Like, it was just such a wonderful place for her to be, and I'm looking forward to reaching there, even though there are days where I'm like, okay, well, carry on. Like, seriously, what's happening? What's the timing? And I feel like every time I get to that point, I get a sign of encouragement, whether it's somebody calling me up saying, hey, you ran across my mind. I believe sometimes my spirit calls out so loud. Random people, when I say random people I haven't spoken to in however long, like, hey, you're on my mind, how are things? I had a dream about you, I saw you prospering, blah blah blah. Or a friend will call up and say, hey girl, you got this. Sometimes it's a meme or even a TikTok that just pops up in your timeline. So to the persons who are in that very painful, and it sucks ass, if you're in a painful space right now, know that I'm there too, and I'm staying optimistic. You're not alone, and we got you. We gotta have each other. We gotta have each other's back.
All right.
Oh,
go ahead, Corinne.
Right. Zara, your story is very touching. I actually
I'm cry now.
No, I actually love Zara. Every time I have a creative project, I reach out to Zara. And the way I see her work with youth, the way I see her pour into people, and anything she's doing, she puts 200% of energy into it. And she supports other people's projects. And as sister friends, as women in our 40s, we need to have that support system. We need to have that support system. I just feel like I want to encourage everybody also, if you're on the cusp or in that transition, to take a pause. Sometimes you might need to take a day off from work, from people, from everything. Find a quiet place and sit and figure out, who am I and what is this unique gift I'm giving to the world? Some of us are in spaces and jobs and we're not being challenged, we're being taken advantage of. It's a toxic environment and we're not able to give our best, and we have a lot to give. We all have some kind of gift. We just need to figure out what it is. What is your unique gift to the world? Is it something you're good at? Is it something you're passionate about? Is it something that'll make money? And we need to ask ourselves some questions. And sometimes we even need to ask the people around us, what do you see me excelling at? The people who really have our backs will be able to tell you, girl, you're always so happy when you're with kids. You're always so happy when you're in nature. You're always so happy when you're helping people. And so we need to talk to the right people, and we need to know what our unique gift is to the world. And we need to, some of us, when we get to a place where we're really in a position we like, we end up with imposter syndrome. Like, this is too good to be true. Am I sure I'm good? I'm good enough for this. And so sometimes the fears and the things we tell ourselves can really sabotage us. And so when we find that place where we're comfortable, enjoy it, know that we're worth it and we deserve it.
Yeah.
100% agreed. I want to go to the chat section really quick, pull up a few comments from the chat section, and then I am going to pivot us into another aspect of this discussion. I want us to talk about money. Zara already started talking about it a little bit. I want us to talk about, so you can start getting the juices flowing in the brain. Talk about how, because in light of all of the shifts in terms of careers, I am also imagining that there are shifts in terms of our relationships with money. I want to hear what that is looking like. I want to talk about managing your money. I want to talk about financial independence in this second half of your life. and how you perceive that versus how you used to perceive it back in the day. And I also want to talk about what you are thinking where it comes to preparation for leaving the working world. If you have plans to leave, because maybe you plan to work until you can't work anymore, or maybe you have retirement plans. I don't know. I'd like for us to talk about that. But let me go to the chat section really quick, pull up a few comments. I don't want the people who are watching and listening to think I'm ignoring them. And there are some really good comments in the comment section over here. So I'm going to pull up just a few of them. I want to start with Natasha, because Natasha is sharing a little bit of her story in the comment section. And I think I'd like to share that. She says, I remember in 2018, the beginning of the year of my 40th birthday, I completely changed job or career. I have accomplished so much more since then. She says, that last year I enrolled in school after 25 years. I say round of applause for Natasha. And then this is the last part that got me. Ended up getting a scholarship. Now I'm in my second year.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Natasha.
Congratulations.
Love that for you, sis. I want to bring up another comment that I see here from Saran, which I think is powerful. Saran says, in the Caribbean, it's somewhat frowned upon if someone wants to change careers, but you can change at any time to anything you want.
Yes, sir. And yes.
Yeah, there was another one I saw that I wanted to pull up. Yes, I found it. Another comment from Saran that I wanted to pull up. She says, I find that when we let go of the ideal life we had for ourselves. This is a big one for me because I had to let go of what I thought my life was supposed to look like, the vision that I had. I was very sure that I knew what my life was supposed to look like. I never saw myself here where I am right now. Like, this just happened. This literally just happened. And I think the point that she's making here really is, I feel like she might be talking about me. What is really meant for us will gravitate to us or will be attracted to us. But the letting go is the hard part.
Yep.
So yeah, some of us have to get fired in order to move on. I mean, don't let it come to that, sis. It's better if you resign, okay? Don't let them fire you. Don't do that. Don't be me. Okay, so let's talk about money, queens. Let's talk about money. I can start off by saying that financial independence has never been as important to me in my life as it is now. Like never, never, never. I have never, ever also been more concerned about where my money is going. I never had an interest in, do I put my money here or do I put it there? It was always just get a savings account and put your money in the savings account. That's what we were taught. Now, all of a sudden, I have found myself thinking about where is the safest place to put my money? Where is the most lucrative place to put my money? Where will my money best work for me? I think about those things now, and I never thought about those things before in my life. All of a sudden, those things matter very much to me. And as a result, financial independence, therefore, matters to me. I think a lot about what my life will look like in 20 years when I'm nearing 70 and maybe don't want to work anymore. Or maybe I'm not able to work anymore. I think about those things, and I never thought about those things in my life. And I'm wondering why nobody told me I should have been thinking about those things. So I'm wondering if this is anybody else's experience on here, or is it just me?
can I say I have thought myself into panic attacks thinking about those things. And over the last few years, I have been making a conscious effort to stop doing that. And I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm about to say, because I do think you need to exercise some responsibility. But I've also found, just reflecting on those times in my life where I did wonder, okay, how am I going to get this done? And opportunities come up for the persons that are Christians. If my father clothe the fields and feed the birds, what more will he do for me? For those who are spiritual and we have faith in the universe, we have faith in our ancestors wanting a better life for us. I think that's part of the peace, believing that something will come. And for me, I'm honestly trying so much more for my peace of mind to stay in the moment and not panic about when I'm 70. I may not even make it to 70. I might get a hell of an orgasm that kills me when I'm 65. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But I may not make it to 70.
We can only hope to go out that way, girl. Look,
I am
we definitely have to make it to triple digit age. But if the alternative is going out at 65 from my orgasm, I'll choose it. I really will.
I'm looking at people like my mom and your mom, Aisha, and they are just having the time of their lives. And I'm not putting my mom's business out there, but she is having a really comfortable life. And I remember when she retired, she said she was just going to rest for a year and then find something to do, like on a statutory board, something else. My mom was an accountant. She was actually deputy accountant general at one point in Antigua and Barbuda. And I remember that she was saying, I'm going to just rest for a year, give myself a year break. Well, honey, it's been 1 year for about 12 years now. And and she is, hey, she's doing better than me. I have to tell her pension is more than my teacher's salary, and I don't see her worrying. So for me personally, I am really working hard on staying in the moment, having faith, and letting life unfold, because I feel like we do rob ourselves so much. At least that's how I have felt with the anxiety of like what's going to happen next year, next 5 years and stuff. Like, I'm going to tell you, COVID cleaned me out. And I was depressed, really, really depressed. Because the savings that I had, I graduated from my master's program December 2019, and I wasn't planning to go. I was just like, they can ship whatever to me. But my mother and my daughter really, really wanted to go. My daughter even mentioned that my mom was in my graduation picture for my undergrad, and she wasn't. I'm like, duh, like I barely was having sex back then. Why would you think you would be there? I said it in my head, not to her, but So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to touch a little bit of the savings, go on this trip. Had a fantabulous time. Even went over to Canada, spent a couple of weeks with some cousins. Fantastic. And I said to myself, you know what, Zara, 2020 set up so good. I had so many bookings for weddings and some other jobs and about 2 or 3 trips planned. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, girl, just go, because you're going to make back all of this in a 2020 anyway. We all know what happened in 2020, and I fell into depression. Of course, I do photography, so a lot of weddings didn't happen. Tourist weddings, a lot of my tourist weddings got canceled, obviously. And, by the time 2022 rolls around, it's like, what savings? Like, what savings? And I can't begin to tell you the anxiety I had over that. I remember I was still paying for my truck, my gold truck that I previously had. And every time I'll give you all this joke. So every time I saw a number from Scotia calling, I'm like, I'm not answering that. I'm not answering that. I don't know where I'm going to get money to pay. I'm not answering. And then one day I wasn't paying attention and I answered. The people in them had been calling me for about 4 months to tell me that I'd finished paying off for my truck, but my bank wasn't aware, so the money just kept coming back. So I was like, you have money for me? Like, you're calling me to give me money?
Look at how you're blocking your blessings, Dara.
I mean, come on. We've been there where you're like, oh Lord, you're calling me again, like and I'm just like trying to do one day at a time. Even now, December gone, I was in a really bad car accident. I lost Goldine, that was the name of my truck, and I was trying to consolidate, and some little debt here and there. I had called up my loans officer and I said, I know like a truck wasn't in the plan, but somebody just called me and told me that they have this truck available. I don't know if I can afford it, and I'm calling to ask you. Up to now, my loans officer has not answered me, but the truck parked up outside. And yeah, she hasn't told me if I can afford it or not, but it's parked up outside, and to date, I'm because I was like, how am I going to maintain this vehicle? But gas always in there. She's good, and again, I am not telling anybody not to save, not to invest. If you have it to do so, by all means, go through. Yes, sir, I nearly missed the check. I remember a couple months, saying, me happy. So if you do have the funds to invest, if you have funds that you're able to save at the best institution with the highest savings, interest, do so. And guess what? If you don't have any of that, it's still going to be okay. Still going to be okay. Don't beat up yourself. Forgive yourself for past financial mistakes you have made. And there is a meme that keeps popping up on my social media, and I guess it's just to gently remind me too. We can't save and invest if we're not making enough. And for some of us, the truth is we're just not making enough. Everything is going up except our salaries. I was trying to explain that to a friend some time ago. Like, you're making $10,000 a month. I'm not even making half of that. You can save $3,000 a month. That's great because you have it. But for someone who doesn't have it, for somebody that makes $3,000 a month, how do you expect them to save $3,000? $1,500 alone might be rent or mortgage and utilities. Then you have groceries. Now remember, we have $1,500 left back. Groceries might be $500 a week. That's already gone. If somebody has a child and they're not getting financial assistance, because let me tell you, sometimes when I hear these stories, you're giving your child, and I'm being gender neutral here because there are men in the same situation, but you're giving your primary caretaker $200 a month. What is that supposed to do for the child, really and truly? So if you don't have it, make the best with what you can. Just absolutely make the best with what you can and have faith that things will get better. I believe things are going to get better for me, and I believe they're going to get better for you. So just stop beating yourself up, because if you don't have it, you just don't have it. If you do have it, by all the means, do what you can with it. Hell, you can even give me some. I'm just saying.
If I can just say something, like Zara, I hear so much hope in you. I hear it. Although you say these things, I do hear that you believe you will prosper. You do.
I feel it. I do, and you can ask Therese. I wasn't sounding like this even 2 months ago, right, Therese? I really wasn't serene. Sorry, and
she has her moments. She has her moments.
Yeah. Which is why I say it's always great to have people around you who genuinely want the best for you and who can be your strength when you cannot find it. Like, I am so grateful for the small village I have. that I can call somebody on a weekday, and sometimes it will just be me saying, I just need affirmations, I just need some reassurance, just say something quick to me. So I mean, and again, even that too, if you don't have anybody like that around you right now, try and just hold on. Your tribe will find you. I cannot tell you how much I believe in that statement. Your tribe will find you. They will find you and they will help you to flourish. And thank you for saying that, Serene, because I have been feeling like that lately, just really, really hopeful.
Yeah. And if I could just add something for someone. Oh, yeah, we have a comment.
No, it's a word. It's a
Yes.
word that they put in the comment section for
Yay.
Zara. This
Yeah.
is for you, Zara, and for everybody else too, but mainly.
I just wanted to say real quick because, Corin, I know you're a specialist in this, but I think that is really about behavior and not the money. And that a lot of times people look at, I'm not able to save this amount, but what you want to start off with, and I speak from experience, you want to create a behavior and be consistent. If you save 25 cents every week, you are setting yourself up to save a lot more. And so you want to create a behavior within you that just feels natural, so that when the opportunity presents, because it will, because you believe that behavior is also setting a trajectory about that money's coming your way, so that you recognize that you have something valuable to save for yourself. And if it's 25 cents, if it's $1, eventually you will make more money, or more money will come your way. You just have to be prepared to have the behavior and the discipline and the self love and worth to continue to save. That's all. I just really wanted to add that. Yeah.
If I can also add to that, I think it's probably the same thing that Serena's saying, but what I wanted to share where the money thing was concerned, and I love that it started out with Zara's message of don't worry, right? I think that we can find ourselves, again, we're talking about dealing with the fear and the expectations and breaking down those things that have been set on us in the 20s and 30s, and how 40 is bringing this newfound, I guess, freedom to shed a lot of that. This is one of the things that we also need to shed, right? That you're supposed to be set by age, whatever, set financially. What does that look like? When we look at our families, a lot of times we don't necessarily see that mirrored back. But also, if we look at our families, what we see is that they're taken care of. They're okay. They have enough. They have what they need. So where's this fear of, oh my God, I don't have the money, where can I get the money from, and blah, blah, blah. One of the things that my personal experiences have taught me, and I think it was Natasha that said that, she used to beat herself up for some bad financial decisions. Girl, me and you both, friend.
Preach.
I'm up and still kind of Lord, learn that lesson yet? A dunce you done so, Jack? I mean, I had a lot to learn. And I learned them the hard way, right? I learned them by getting money and not using it properly. But something Serene said that touched a nerve in terms of what you need to do, in terms of making that switch from the focus being on the behavior. One of the things that I do, and I have been doing it since I've been able to make a little money in this country, because I told you all the last time I couldn't work here, right? That was no joke, right? So a couple of years ago, I couldn't make the money for myself. But one of the things that I intentionally do, no matter what, is I set aside a little something for me. And like Serene said, it could be all 25 cents. And I'm gonna lie, some months is quite for true, right? But my doing that is me saying to myself, you are important enough that nobody else gets this.
Yes.
But you. Even so, all you can buy is like a little Eskimo mint or whatever. I know through inflation, Eskimo mints probably cost $2 now, but back in my day, Those of you who are younger than me, I'm aging myself. Back in my day, Eskimo mint used to be 5 for quart, right?
Girl, 3 for dollar now.
Lord, I'm gonna have to up my savings. But my point is, even if, right? Because I would work myself up over X bills had to be paid and blah blah blah. And I had to sit down and say one day, you doing damage to yourself, because anxiety is damaging you, you know. You're doing damage to yourself over whether Mr. AT&T getting money and whether Mr. Electric Bill get the money and Mr. Whoever get the money. But you more important than every last one of them. I mean, to you, right? And that is not to say don't pay your bills. That's to say, remember, don't lose the priority. Don't lose the importance of you are important. And that's why when Serene made that point of, hey, it's about focusing on the behavior. For me, the spiritual message in that behavior is, I am worth this. I'm worth the setting aside. I'm worth nobody gets to touch this, no matter how little the this is. The other thing that Serene said that I have found to be absolutely true, and when I go through broke periods, like now, one of the main things I tell myself, money was here before, money will come back. Money not scarce now. Money not runway. If I used it for something, a lot, I don't know if I shared it before, but I went home. I went home in August. And I may have shared it. Went home in August. Intention was to, really the desire all this year was, I want to be home for at least a month. I really, really want to be home for at least a month. But when it came time to book the ticket, the fear set in, oh, you can't do that, and what else, and what else. So I booked the ticket for 2 weeks. But you say, when I boarded that flight to come home, I had in the back of my head, boy, as soon as I land in Antigua, I could change that flight. I get extended. I get extended and leave for the 2 weeks later. But when I did that, when I went to look for the flight now, all the flights then book up. It's how much, $1,000 extra to change the flight, blah, blah, blah. They didn't have anything, because I was saying I was just going to push it out for a week to make it 3 weeks. They didn't have any flight leaving until the end of September. I was supposed to leave beginning of September. I wanted to push it a week out. And as the divine would have it, they said, hey, it's a month you say you want to stay now. So guess what? The earliest flight you can get out where you don't have to pay no big set of money is the end of the month, right? I ended up having to pay that extra. And of course, the decision to stay longer means that, there was a financial component to that. So I fully expected to come back and be a little tight in the waist where the money part was concerned. However, in full transparency, I'd forgotten to carry the one when I was like mentally calculating how much money I would have left back. So it's not quite as much as I thought. So in a little situation right now, but it's okay. It's okay, because my life experiences have shown me money will come, right? It is not worth the stress, the anxiety, the anything to sit here and, oh my goodness, I don't have this and I don't have that and I don't have. Nakia, why are you looking at me like that in the corner? I can't do these broadcasts with him here.
Stop it, Nakia. Stop it, Nakia.
But I mean, I think I've made the point. The point is the money will come, right? Serene's point is extremely important. If you recognize the money will come, if your behavior is aligned with making the best use of that money, when the money comes, you're gonna be ready for it. So what Zara said, 100%, don't fret, don't worry. What you don't have, you don't have. Don't beat yourself up over that. The best that you have where you are, and that's important. What Serene said, for sure, about the behavior, focus on the behavior. And what I want to add to both of those is that spiritual component of that behavior. You are putting out that energy of, I am important, I deserve this, and it will come.
And somebody is agreeing with you, Shaycia, is saying money is attracted to you indeed. And Sunshine Lucian is using a phrase I haven't heard in a long time. Brock pocket. I learned how to transition from broke pocket. If anybody does not know, if there are any listeners to the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis podcast, who have no idea what broke pocket means, it means you are without money in your pockets. And she has learned to from broke pocket to more than enough by changing behavioral patterns. Well done. Well done.
And can I just add that because I know we might have listeners who have felt the way I have felt when I would hear some people say that. I don't feel it in this moment because I'm really, really hopeful right now. But when you get it, you can work on changing the behavior to sustain and multiply. But don't beat yourself up if you don't have it to change your behavior as yet. It will come. It will come because, again, truth be told, it's when you have it, even because some persons don't even have that 25 cents to spare. That's just the reality for some people. And for those who don't see that, consider yourself really, really fortunate. But there are some persons that don't even have that 25 cents this month. But if next month you have that 25 cents, girl, you put up the Eskimo month, the Eskimo mint money. Put it up. You understand? The month after that, you might be right back. Try as much as possible not to touch that 25 cents. Following month, you might be able to save a whole dollar. So just don't beat yourself up. It will come. If you have to use it when you come, use it. You're alive, you're doing well, you're happy. Next month is coming, the next opportunity is coming, and when you have it, you're going to be able to save it and everything you need with it.
Great stuff. If I could just jump on here and so many things are shooting at me just listening to Zara, Serene, and Aisha. But I know that a book that I read that was very transformative for me in terms of how I think about money is called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And it says, transform your relationship with money and life.
Mhm.
And even listening to Zara, I'm thinking to myself, you have so many evidences of being taken care of. All the little stories about the bank calling you to give you back money. You have a truck in front of your yard right now that you haven't gotten a call about. I mean, all these things are confirmation that you are not lacking. And I think a lot of the times we are fully abundant, fully rich, wealthy, etc., but we just don't recognize it because we don't necessarily have the bills in our hand. We think, well, you don't have enough, but that isn't true. So for me, wealth and abundance isn't tied up with money. It's not tied up with the coin or having the paper, but all the wealth of experiences that you have, the opportunities, the knowledge that you possess, and all of these things that you in turn give back to the world around you, that you share with others. And many times you are blessed, not necessarily with, sometimes you may not have any money and somebody brings you a meal, you have something to eat. There are different ways that wealth manifests, so it doesn't necessarily have to be money. Aisha said something while Zara was talking, that we literally block our blessings with how we talk. You never have enough. Sometimes you have money now, but you may not think you have a lot of money. You may have a $5 and you keep saying that you're broke.
Yep.
And we create our conditions with the words that we speak. A lot of the times we're imprisoned and we are our own. We're the very person that is imprisoning ourselves by the words that we say. We create our reality. So you see these things about I'm broke, I never say that. Years now, I do not use those words at all. And just like Serene, I am always assured that the money will come. I liken money to a river, like a very long river. There are points of the river where, man, it's rushing. You can't control it. And some parts it gets thinner, the passageway gets more narrow, the flow slows down, but it is never dry. Never dry. So those are things that I think we have to keep reminding ourselves about, that our wealth, abundance, riches, it's not just money, not just what you have on your bank account, not just what you have saved, but there's so much more to you than a dollar figure. You're priceless. I mean, nobody can put a value on you and all of the things that you have to offer, on your purpose or anything like that. And I do believe that that is important, just as Serene said about yes, Saran, financial low tide. But even about our behaviors as well. But then when you feel confident that you know, it's not that you believe the money will come, you know it will come, you can act assured. Also, sometimes we have our money and we have to look at how we spend. A lot of the times we spend in places that we may not necessarily believe in the ideals and the principles that a company may represent, but you feel as though you have to have this particular item, so you spend your money there. But invest your money where you feel good about giving your money there, and it will come back to you a hundredfold. So a lot of the times we don't like to support local businesses. There's always that complaint. For example, Black Friday coming up just now, right? We jump up on Amazon and all these companies where we're giving our money. We don't know who we are enriching. And some of the very same things are available in our community, and we don't support those persons when we very well could, because when you think about what you may pay for the item, the shipping, and then clearing it from the company, you could have very well just bought it from a local person. So these are things that we have to look at when we are spending our money as well. What causes we support? Where do we put our money? And our beliefs about money. Because if we keep saying you never have enough, lacking, you come up in a poor family and all these things, which may be a reality, but you don't have to keep playing the same story, because you have the very power to change it. So that's just my addition there. And yeah.
Wow. Let us we just end the program just done the show, semester. Just done the show. I'm just kidding. But I want Serene, were you gonna jump in and say something just now?
No. We're running out of time, but I just want to say, when people say they can't save money, I say find the opportunity, not the limitations. Buy no name brand. Wear the same outfit. I wear the same thing over and over and over. Different earrings, different hairstyle, different color lipstick, put on my fake eyelashes, even different color panty and brassiere. I wear it over and over again, and I make it look brand new. Who cares what people have to say?
Right?
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true. A lot of the times it's just about the image, what other people think about what's happening, as opposed to how you really feel. You are correct, Serene. Indeed.
I really enjoyed listening to everybody, and I want to agree with all of you. If we've made mistakes in the past, that's the past. We're looking forward. And even if you have to take yellow sticky notes and write your affirmations about money, money comes to me in different ways. I attract success. I attract finances. We need to have the mindset that what is out there is ours. It's unlimited. And we have skills that we can earn money. Yes, we might not have money immediately, but you can do a little side hustle. Who know to braid hair? Who know to create Canva designs? We can find ways to, we're very creative as a people. And we can find ways whereby we can do things on the side to make a little extra. It's important that we have a plan. I don't believe in panicking or getting anxious about money. I know all of us have been in that place at some point or the other. All of us have been in that place at some point or the other, where we think, Lord of mercy, I'm getting up in age. Some of us say we don't have children. Who's going to take care of us? Look at what's happening with Social Security in Antigua and Barbuda. And all these things are going to be circulating in our mind. The realistic nature of what is life like without. We've seen what is life like without a plan. We've seen what happens to some persons when they didn't have anything and how their life has changed. And so, yes, in spite of our past, I feel like it's important for us to make some kind of plan. I feel like it's important for us to manage our lifestyles. I feel like it's important, all the things you've said, have a mindset that everything out there I have access to and there are no limitations to it. So I feel like we need to just be creative as possible. Like the quart we all started off with, we start with a quart, 50 cents, $1, whatever it is. It's just about being consistent, and it's just knowing that financial freedom looks different to everybody. We don't have to follow somebody else's plan. We have to do what works for us, because wealth is not only finances. Wealth is also health. It's also family. It's also love. It's also that spiritual connection. And so we need to have this holistic view, and just do the best we can. But it's really important to have a plan, know what it is we want, what kind of life we want after retirement, and we can work towards it.
I like that you said that wealth is health, because sometimes we get so obsessed with making the dollar, keeping the dollar, saving the dollar, investing the dollar, that by the time we accumulate what we think is wealth, we're too sick or we're already on our deathbed and can't enjoy it, or exactly what we've accumulated just goes right back into trying to rebuild our health, and we just cannot even enjoy things that we sacrificed for.
Agreed. I want Corinne to talk about 2 books that she has written that I think will be game changers for people who are watching and listening to this podcast tonight, and whenever you are listening to it in the future, because I know many of you are watching us live, but there are also a lot of you watching us right now who are watching us at some point in the future, long after this was recorded. And so we want to give Corinne an opportunity to plug these books. Also, the book that Samista just spoke to is called The Soul of Money. You know what? I'll put it in the chat section in case anyone's interested in getting that as well. I'm going to pull up a few comments from the chat section, and then I'm going to let Corinne speak on the books, and then we will wrap it up. Okay? Let me look at just a couple of comments, because the comment section is so nice over here. I want to highlight everything. I cannot. But let me pull up a few of these. I see people are posting a host of money affirmations in the chat section, and I am loving it. I'm so enjoying it. Money loves you and you love money. Money is attracted to you. Let me see if I find another one. I'm seeing, where's another one that I saw? Oh, this is a good one. I am a money magnet. Money cometh to me from every direction. Woo! I love this. I will never be broke another day in my life. Money flows to me easily and abundantly. The queens are on fire in the chat section with these affirmations. I am attracted to money.
I love it.
Money flows all over me.
Yes.
I love money and money loves me.
Yes.
Yes, the chat section. I'm loving the chat section. I'm going to highlight just one single other comment because we're really running out of time. But I want to share this one because I am touched by this. Saran says, when I launched my book in October of 2019, I was so B-word. I'm not saying it. So Mr. said not to say that word. Let me rephrase that. when I launched my book,
I was so low tide, low tide.
Low
I was
tide, low tide.
experiencing a financial low
Low
tide,
tide.
but I was determined to publish the book. The book took a year from thought to printing, and I found the money the publisher asked for in less than a week and paid in full. P.S. I didn't have the money when I agreed to pay what she asked for. You see, money loves you and you love money. Money finds you. It's available. It's out there. It was just you were just experiencing a financial low tide. All right. So, Corin, tell us about your books, and then we're gonna just round it up.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, quickly, I have one called Retirement Planning. I can't see where it's going in the camera. And persons in Antigua and Barbuda specifically, it talks about things like your health. Again, you can't have good a retirement plan without health stuff. It talks about the use of credit. It talks about side hustles. We have to talk about side hustles. We always talk about side hustles. It talks about lifestyles. It actually has a list of nursing homes in Antigua and Barbuda. I know that's a little morbid, but still, at least it gives you some worksheets whereby you can fill in information in terms of retirement planning. And this one is just 30 easy and available in Antigua and will be on Amazon soon. And then the second book I wanted to mention is a book on mindful moments. It's a puzzle and activity book for adults celebrating life. And this has trivia and topics related to mindfulness, reflection, again, retirement, fun places to go to, relaxation, and things like that. It has coloring. It's just things to do to relax for persons who are adults, and you can give it as a gift as Christmas is coming. And one of the things I wanted to briefly mention is that when I mentioned in the book about retirement planning, retirement is not like the age where you just give up on life. It's like another transition. It's like a whole new section of life where you're free. You get to choose what you want to do with your life. We've talked a lot about Zara's mom and Aisha's mom. I go and watch Zara's mom dance all the time at her shows, and it's so amazing. So retirement is not something where we lay down with a million gray hairs and just rubbing with Bengay. It's a time when we're free to do all the things we want to do. And so it's really a time to plan for. And I just want us to focus on the idea of freedom. You know, that's really, really what it's all about.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's time for everybody to give their parting shot. We wanted to talk a little bit about sex and sexuality tonight. Let me just tell y'all, we did have it on the agenda because I know some of you logged in for that. You know, I know some of you are logged in for that. We, however, are not going to be able to get into that tonight. But I feel like we did have a really, really good discussion here tonight. This was phenomenal. I could. Siri said she could go for another hour, so could I. But we're not gonna do that.
Even if it's about sex.
Then it won't be another hour. It's gonna be more than that.
Exactly. I will have another podcast in the new year. In 2024. I will plan a podcast specifically to discuss that. We're not going to put anything else on the agenda. Just a podcast about sex and sexuality after 40. And I'm going to invite Auntie Heather to come on the panel.
Yes.
I'm going to start planning that. I'm going to plan it for the new year. First quarter of 2024. Prepare yourselves. And have you ever been on a panel with Auntie Heather? You ever been on a panel with Heather Durham? You better get ready.
I haven't.
Be ready, okay? All right. Let's get our everybody gets to give a parting shot to the listeners. Since I have been starting with Semester the whole time, let me go from the other direction. I'll start with Corin instead, and then we'll come around. Okay, so Corin, what is your parting shot?
Okay, to all our listeners and friends, I just want to say to you that life can be sweet, life can be enjoyable. You just have to make sure every single day you get up and choose you. Don't be afraid of turning 40. You're going to be free, you're going to get a chance to find out who you really are, embrace you, know who your friends are, make positive decisions, and make sure every single day you take out 15 minutes for your own self care. We need it.
All right, nice. And now on to Aisha.
The only pattern shot I can leave you with is at no point in your life, so this is not just for 40, at no point in your life should you ever stop being the center of your world.
Mm.
Life is to be lived. It's to be lived fully. It's to be lived out loud, whatever that looks like and means like for you. And you are never too old, too anything, too not ready, too broke. Oh, I said the B word, too B word, too financial low tide.
Low tide, low tide.
You are never ever too dot dot dot. Focus on you, and you're worth it. You are now, as you always have been, worth it.
All right, that is beautiful. Look here, Natasha has me cracking up. Corinne said that you can buy the gifts, buy the books and make gifts. Natasha said she's going to buy them for herself.
I like that.
That's a great thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yes.
I need to gift myself these, okay? Yeah, you're right. You're
I
right.
just went on Amazon and ordered the one that Misty suggested, and I'm waiting for
Me
Corinne
too.
to
I
get
just put it in my
ready
phone.
so I can go on Amazon and order that one.
All right, let's go over to Zara. Zara, what's your parting shot? And don't say anything about putting legs up in the air, please. Thank you.
I don't. You did. Obviously, it's on your mind because you just did it. You know what I'm saying?
That was your parting shot for the last time. Don't
My
come up with a
parting
different
shot-
parting shot tonight.
You know what? I'm gonna answer Sunshine because she asked what happened to my hair tonight if the young boy had ragged. So I just want to tell her no, 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 no. He knows how to behave himself. All gentle care. And with that, my pattern word, as I said, gentle, gentle, what's sweet? Please be gentle, forgiving, and kind to yourself. Forgive yourself, increase the peace, get peace, and have a peaceful week.
All right, Zara.
Could be a piece of silver, a piece of land, I don't know where your minds went. Naughty.
I'm so done with Zara era. Zara, listen. Okay, Serene, give your parting shot.
I don't have anything, really to say because you all have said a mouthful. I would just say, please pour back into yourself and make the change on your time in your way.
All right. And Misty.
Let your faith be bigger than your fear. And I want to remind you to never underestimate your abilities or the power that you hold, not just at 40, but at any age. You are more magnificent, amazing than even you can imagine. And as Serene said, pour back into yourself and always be willing to let your overflow pour onto others. Bless yourself, bless your community, bless all the spaces that you step into. That's it.
Okay. Ashe. Absolutely. Yes. I don't have anything to add. This is the second time that Misty has wrapped up the show and we're still here. So because the last time she spoke, we could have just ended on that note. She has spoken yet again. Let's just wrap it up this time so she doesn't have to do it a third time. We get the
But
message.
thank you, Therese. Thank you, ladies. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to the listening audience. I mean, there is no place that I would have rather been this evening into tonight than here.
We're here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, once again for your time. That, for me, is wealth. That is one type of wealth that I have and that I tap into on a regular basis. My tribe, my sister queens. In that regard, I am rich, rich, rich. I love y'all very much. Thank you for being here and for pouring not just into my listeners and my followers, but into me. We have poured into each other. So thank you, gratitude. And to our listeners, both those who are watching us live right now and those who are watching us in time to come, thank you also for being here. Your time is also valuable. I know you could be doing something else. Thank you for being here on the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. It is an honor and a privilege to continue to empower you all. And on that note, I leave you with love and light. And of course, remember to be a beautiful week. Bye, everyone.